Alright, so we got most of these drilled out. This part here is loose. We did break the spot weld cutter. I'm kind of at the next point. It's actually a little chilly in here today, so you can hear the heater since it's winter. Alright, now we're going to cut across here, and then we're going to cut across this bottom piece on that side. We're going to come over on this side over here also. And we're going to cut this off over there also on the bottom, okay? Because that's actually what's holding that on. Now the reason why I kind of did that was to hold this in place. So if I'm over here drilling and this thing moves around, I'm not causing any extra bend or damage to the part that I want to keep. Alright? Now, you can do this many ways. Luckily, I have one of these. You can put these cut-on wheels on something that's air-powered. This one's battery-powered. You could set something up like this on the end of a drill. You could actually use if you're precise enough, you could use a saw and then cut down through these. This right here, it's just what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. Alright, see here we're pretty much apart. We need to get it up here on the top yet. Let's come over here. I'm going to cut through this one, and then I'll finish drilling out that top over there on that side, and that'll actually separate what we want to keep from what we're not going to use. So I'll come back and we'll pick up right there. Here's what we're not using. So along with that little piece, I still have to remove part of this right here. Needs to come off, but that right there is pretty much what we're going to actually be using. This one here, I got to drill here and basically just separate this outer panel part here from the lower part and the upper core. And once that's done, it'll need ground up a little bit. You want to clean some of this stuff up. You can dolly them smooth, flat with a hammer, which I'll show you some of that. Because sometimes when you do grind these and drill through them, you do end up with a little bit of a bend. Stuff's not perfectly flat, but that's to be expected. So I'm going to actually clean up here a little bit. I'm going to put the part that I don't need out of my way. And then we'll get back to working and stripping this one down, which is drilling this out here and removing this part that we don't need. Alright guys, so this stuff's assembled in layers. This is the outer bracket for the fender. I got it off. There was actually a small spot weld right here. Like I was saying, you can use screwdrivers. You can get down in here, get these pried apart. I thought that this one would be a good one to show. Sometimes you can get down in here, like I said, with this, and then you can hit it with a hammer. Screwdrivers, pry bars. I have a chisel, a little small chisel here somewhere. I actually pulled out the air hammer just to kind of get this off. I mean, if you have one of these, you want to work really slow with it. I mean, you can tear the stuff that you want to keep, because this will actually just shove it right through with little ease, especially when it's a long throw like this. So, you know, if you get down in here, and like I said, you know, we're drilling these out because we don't have a spot weld cutter, and that's the one way you can do it, which is kind of why I'm showing it. Now, I'm going to bring this down. If you look down inside here, you can see where we drilled. We actually missed part of the spot weld down here on this lower part. So we're actually still connected there. Now a chisel might go down through there and cut that depending on what angle we get down in there, but it will distort our metal, so we'll have to straighten that stuff back out. So it's kind of a fine line that you have to try. So, you know, like I said, I have this, so I'm just going to try it. Let's see what we end up with. See if it'll chop it through. Alright. See, we got that spot welds off. Now we can come down through here, bend this back, we can see where we're at. You know what I mean? That really does help. You can see where you got to separate it. And then, you know, you might be able to get down in here with your chisel, or like I am with this, and pick at it. Now see if you can see down in there. When I did that one, it actually pulled more on the metal than it did separate from the piece that I want to. It pulled apart from the part I want to save more so than the part that I want to throw away. But it did actually separate it. So we'll move up here onto this next one. Try to get down through it. Okay, there's that one. Alright, now we're technically are separated. You can see what it did. So, I mean, that's just a little bit more that we have to cover up with our weld. You know, and then that's just how it happens. So, I'm going to take this cutter and I'm going to cut this off. That way that's out of the way. If you can get the stuff trimmed back, then you can get in there and you can grind. It's a whole lot easier. You're not working around stuff. So basically all I'm going to do, I mean, I'm just going to come up through here and get this cut off out of the way. Alright, so using multiple techniques, prying this stuff out after I got it cut off. Some of it was still hanging on the one side, so I was able to use this. Once I got it separated, came in behind, got to cut through the weld a little bit. You know what I mean? Then you can get it pried out, and then you kind of bend it back and forth. The stuff eventually will snap. So right now, the point that we're at is we're going to be double checking this. So you can take a hammer and set it behind. If that's all you have, you could use, you know, the end of a screwdriver. You could use a block of wood back here and get this stuff tapped. You can use 2 pairs of pliers, you know, just whatever you got to get it straightened back out is what you're going for. You know, right here, just because I have the 2 hammers, this is what I'm going to do. We're coming through here anywhere this stuff doesn't quite look like it's straight. We're going to just give it a little. Alright, so we now have our used core support pretty much ready to go on here. We just need to remove everything else out of the way to get this to the point where we can install this, which will include unbolting some things, our mounts here, our hood latch we're going to need to unbolt. We're going to have to remove some of these wires out of the way because we're going to be drilling, grinding, and welding down in here. So let's get on it. I do want to add, you always want to use caution anytime you're doing stuff with this, because all of those edges that are drilled, anything that's ground off, it's all sharp edge, and you end up using, you know, just I got a little prick, but you end up using a tape band-aid for a little while. So we're working on getting the rest of this stuff removed out of here. And I wanted to add on top of that, if you take note, we now have a piece of cardboard on top of our windshield. Sparks are hot, they melt glass. Weld splatter is hot, it will melt glass. You will have what looks like little chips or small melt parts in your windshield, which is something that you don't want, because you're doing this to actually save money, so you don't want to cost yourself money, so make sure you cover up all your glass. Alright, so not quite sure why there's a zip tie over here, but we're going to cut that off, get it out of the way. This ground wire here has a push clip, so I use these, get behind it and pull it out. Now, you did see us, we did go through and we did mark off some of these spot welds that we need to actually remove. So what the plan is on this one, if we actually had the spot weld cutter, we could put little holes here and then cut around most of these, and then it would pull off and then grind them off when we go to stick the new one on. Or if we actually use spot weld cutters the whole way through the job, which is something that you don't really need to do. And sometimes if you do that and you cut it out and you're laying the new one on, sometimes it'll actually go right on where the spot welds were. If they were, you know, that close on your cuts and the welds when they were produced, it'll just lay right on where you need it to go. But for this one here, basically I'm going to get everything unbolted, and then we're going to go through, I'm going to trim parts of it away, and then we're going to grind these and then separate it, kind of like I was pulling those small pieces off. And we're going to use a similar technique to that on this. But on a side note, if you take notice, your prop rod does come down into your core support, and we are actually going to be removing this part of the metal. So you either want to, one, remove your hood, which already had this removed, and reinstalled this one, which it would have been proper time to do everything all at once. Or I have one of those extendable hood props somewhere here, I believe. One of these right here. So you just need something that you know is going to come up right here, support your hood, because you're going to be removing this out of the way anyway. Okay, so now that our hood's safely supported, I'm going to get into this and get started, and I'll show you some of what I'm doing. I did want to try this technique out before I actually showed you. Basically, I'm just taking this, I'm hitting my pop rivets, or the spot welds, yeah, pop rivets. Just hitting the spot welds with the grinder, and then I'm just hitting them just right with that tool. Is actually working really good. I did want to show you some of the other stuff. I do have an air grinder that I can stick these on, and I do have a 3-inch angle grinder that you can plug into the wall, and that'll work too. Like I said, you can even stick these into a drill or whatever you have to. Just use really good care when using these. These are very dangerous. They spin at high rates of speed. With that being said, we got these ones cut. I just kind of notched across here because I'm going to get down in here and straighten this more, and then I'll grind these other ones off. I got down in underneath this one, just popped it up. Got underneath this one. It's actually popped separate. I got to get these two, but I'm going to remove this center right here. So I kind of wanted to just get in here and video this one. So basically I'm making sure my sparks are shooting that way. I do have my safety glasses on. You can wear more PPE, a shield, gloves don't hurt at all. That way you know you can't get your hand near this. This is no different than I would say. I mean, it's easy. It's a trigger. So keep your fingers off the trigger. That way nothing happens. So I'm just going to get in here. I'm going to hold on to this, shoot my sparks the correct way, and just get onto where my spot weld is that's marked and grind the top of it off. Now sometimes you can actually see, I don't know if this is picking it up, there's a spot where it's starting to blue. That's on the outside edge of the spot weld, and that is from heat because the metal got thin enough right there. Alright, so you can actually see where it's at. So I'm going to come over here and do this other one. Okay, now I'll bring you in here, get you good and close. You can see, especially on this back one here, where the pop rivet is. This is all I'm doing. Check it out. You can see where the round pop rivet, spot weld. Jeez, why do I keep calling it that? So anyway, you can see it. This one here, I should have probably ground a little bit more on this back side. Oh, see, I actually did pop off. Okay, see now that's good. That'll let us remove the bad part of the core support that we want to do. I just have to go around here and get all of these and these two up here, and then I can remove this. We'll have to get these two. I actually did get this lower, so it's ready to go, and I'll get this over here in a couple minutes, and we'll come back. If there's anything, any kind of a different technique other than this, like I said, just take your time. That's all you do, is you just take your time. If something's in the way, trim the piece of metal that's bad out of the way. Like, let's say I couldn't access this with the tool that I'm using. I could come in here, I could cut this off, I could come through here, I could cut this off, I could get this whole area out of the way and allow me to get down into here if I need to. So that's a little extra work, but if moving something out of the way makes the job easier, it's a plus, it's a bonus. So I'm going to get the rest of these ones off of here, and hopefully we'll be able to remove this whole core support here in a couple minutes. Alright, so we got most of these ground off. Got the top off, okay? And basically, I showed you these. This one here came separate. Now I'm working on popping the rest of these down through here. See how good we are on our grind. Okay, that one. All right. There we go, look at that. We have this whole upper piece here off now. All right, we're actually down to just these two small ones over here in the middle, this one here and the one on this side. Other than that, this whole unit's actually almost free from the car. All right guys, here we go. Let's see what happens here on this one spot. So we might have to tap this back a little bit and hit it again.